Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining and listening in today for the talk. Today we're talking about Hermetic philosophy, and it's based upon the wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus, and it represents the navigation of universal laws and those such as vibration, cause and effect, polarity, rhythm, and free will. The well-known saying, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul, also came from this scribe of the gods. Hermes, also known as Thoth, is the creator of astrology, alchemical magic, medicine, and writing itself. His insights blend the cosmic with the natural, while studying their effect upon human experiences. The greater his awareness grew, so did his ability to shift through coordinating with the forces of change. So the only constants we have in this experience are growth and change. The Kabbalion tells us nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. And if we can imagine everything in our world as sculptor's clay, being formed by the hands of those who understand the laws of the universe, we'll be on the right track. It helps to think of this in terms of awareness. We all have conscious focus upon our environment and situations, and we all have a subconscious level operating as a composite of our sensory experiences, our thoughts, and our interpretations. Many are vastly unaware of the subconscious mind's process and its decision-making interference. So there is next a superconscious level, where the subconscious elements from within the entire collective meld and become social expectations and chronic stress and pressure that influence our ability to feel well. The next level is metaconscious, the belief that all humans share one consciousness, one intellect, and one mind, parts of one whole. This is a common thread found in many religions and cultures. As we expand our awareness, we begin to discern what is authentically ours and what is not for us to carry around, such as our need as a society to play by the rules, to wear the right shoes and the right hairstyles, and to say all the right things. And the reason we tend to carry what isn't ours lies within the universal interconnectivity, overstimulation, and lowered ability to perceive and to question. Let's consider a quote from Galileo Galilei. "Philosophy is written in this good book, the universe, which stands continually open to our gaze. But the book cannot be understood unless one first learns to comprehend the language and to read the letters in which it is composed. It is written in the language of mathematics, and its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometric shapes, without which it is humanly impossible to understand a single word of it. Without these, one wanders about in a dark labyrinth." This entire universal experience is a chaotically interwoven order of waves moving at varying speeds to show up as color or sound, radiation or microwave form. The waves occur in octaves or levels, harmonizing or clashing with each other naturally. We're hypersensitive transmitters of electromagnetic vibration and pursuing it into meaning and form through our consciousness and sensory experiences. Alchemy is the magic of transmutation, or shifting the vibrational status of something to change its form or its impact. It was described as turning lead into gold to disguise its truth from discovery in ancient times. So let's take a look at this modified version of the Hermetic law and the philosophical alchemy here. And this diagram is called the 13 Sacred Keys to Navigate Universal Patterns. This is something that I found online recently, several years ago actually, and I've added to it a few other tidbits that I think are important. So as we as we look at it, you can see you have it all in your hands there since it's too small for many of you to see. It's a circle around the perimeter, drawn around 4 overlapping triangles. And this creates 12 points at the intersection of the triangle endpoints and the circle. Red as a clock would be, we begin at the first position and continue around to the 12th. And the 13th is at the center. You'll see that with having 12 points, each one has an oppositional point. And each one shares 2 other points with itself in its coordinates of its triangulation there. And so these shared points are cooperative within the triangle and limiting in the oppositional. And these energies are congruent with the way that we interpret the angles formulated between planets in astrology. So it's my interpretation that this can also be utilized as a diagram to represent the human consciousness. And the aura is oftentimes depicted as intersecting the above and below tetrahedron pyramid structures that rotate around the body energetically. And this is the energetic capacity that we have to express in this world. And so the upward and the downward, and then the inward and the outward also represents the as above, so below, as within, so without, and talks about the correspondence between self and the environment, or the correlation between God and human, or demon and human, as the case may be. So so let's read this together. The first point here is the law of potential. So anything is possible. Abundance is natural. Choices are actually infinite. If we disconnect from certain morals and externalized approval, the sky is absolutely the limit. This is equated with Shambhala, and it was a mythical and peaceful kingdom in Buddhist and Hindu tradition. I've also drawn the first 13 major arcana around each of the points as well to correlate and expand our awareness of which each point could mean to us. So these little bits are just pieces of what they could represent in our lives. So the Shambhala is this mythical and peaceful kingdom in the religious traditions, and it represents a place of peace and understanding and connectivity with everything that is versus the feeling outside of or next to something. So the Fool card at the first level here represents detachment, limitlessness, hope, and freedom. It's represented by the belief that we are infinite and alive and godlike. And also it represents the unfertilized egg cell or the unrealized idea. Moving to, and one other thing, there's also a musical note depicted at each of these centers as well. And they are balanced across with the oppositional. So we move from the D and D sharp into the key of E. We must remain humble, grateful, and ready for growth into full maturity. We allow that there will often be someone bigger, stronger, more capable, more informed, even more popular. And we show up ready to learn the lessons required of us. This is marked as the inner earth gateway, or the stronghold of the ancestral lines that we are reweaving. We are playing many roles in this lifetime. Depending upon who tells the story, are we really the hero or are we the villain of the story? The Magician Trump Tarot sums up our capacity to harness the resources at our disposal to co-create with others. Whatever we choose to direct our attention upon, we can listen to the karma, to the heartbeat of the earth herself, and watch for the animal patterns to guide us. Point 3 moves to the F and the F sharp, the law of surrender. We are absolutely not in control of anything but of ourselves here. We're often distracted by desires or distractions, and we can disagree with the forces that be or with another individual's choices. But we must release attachment and addiction, ego fears, and even surrender a point. We must surrender to love and surrender to failure thousands of times in a life well lived. This is the realm of the Earth Star, or the budding awareness of radiance, of being centered and creatively inspired. The Empress card is the fertile soil after release, giving way to new ideas, rebirth, and the exposure of our inner light. Point 4 moves to the G and the G sharp with the law of action. Action follows surrender, and when we release what does not matter, we're able to simply see what remains, steadfast and true, and act with renewed alignment. This is represented by the base chakra, representing our ability to feel rooted, secure, and capable. The Emperor card feels right here, the independent boss, solid and strong, able to conceptualize and activate his destiny through his actions. Point 5 is the law of rhythm, moving to the A and the A sharp. Everything is moving and vibrating and asking us to harmonize and dance along or to move out of the way. This correlates with the watery sacral chakra of connection or absence with objects of impermanence. The rhythm is all about how we move and how we're wired and how we are also tethered to one another for the good and the seemingly bad and nondescript. We belong to each other. And how we choose to share our ideas and the gifts that we have with the world is encapsulated within the laws of rhythm. Is it the time? Is it the place? Is it the opportunity to express or to hold back? This card is the Hierophant, representing our connection to our internal and our transpersonal beliefs about authority versus autonomy. Who are we going to trust? Point 6 is represented with the law of free will at the base of the chart, and many individuals make choices that create complications for ourselves later on, whether we're doing something too much, such as overeating, smoking or drinking, spending too much money or otherwise. We're all free to choose self-limitation, whether it's beliefs or actions, and even self-destruction if we so desire. But with all the slick media and programmed reality, are we even aware that we've made a choice? And even if we choose not to decide, we still have made a choice, as the band Rush used to sing. Free will is the realm of the solar plexus, the radiated self-reality that we've come to identify as. The card is the Lovers, representing our option to complete ourselves or to deplete ourselves. We develop our motivation and our standards here. Point 7 moves to our first oppositional point to point 1, and is represented with the law of vibration, which we're all very aware of with the law of attraction and keep your vibe high. And when we walk into a place, whether it makes us feel uneasy or whether it makes us feel open and alive. So everything is again in motion, vibrating at a specific frequency until another vibratory frequency is introduced. They either coordinate or cancel each other. This is expressed through the throat chakra of personal self-expression, our perspectives, and our ability to create what it is that we seek. It is represented by the Chariot card of movement, coordination, but it also has much to do with the collaboration of the subconscious and the superconscious of all the societal expectations and cooperative buy-in that interferes with instant results. And thank goodness we aren't instant manifestors, because we don't have the wisdom which comes later. So Vibration limits the first point, potential. So again, all things are in essence possible, but they're only probable if your vibration is a clear harmonic match. This is why many people struggle to coordinate the law of attraction, because as you can see, potential is also defined by the beliefs that we hold about our potential. How far can we go? How much money do we need or do we want? And then are we capable of producing this? So point 8 is the law of cause and effect, something we're all very aware of from early age with discipline. We're always learning, always observing, always exploring the limits of self and of other. This is ruled by the third eye chakra center of intuitive vision. The strength card is evidence of the perseverance necessary to get back up onto the bike and learn to ride after skinning our knees 100 times. It's the vision of the outcome that keeps us trying and learning time after time. On the flip side, the learning patterns of humans are easily misled and conditioned by responses to our efforts and our actions, such as a toddler reaching out and wanting to touch the glass thing on grandma's table, we'd get a smack on the hand. And so are we learning not to touch glass because it could break, or are we learning not to reach out? That's a choice that we're making internally. So the interactions and our clarity can lead to fear running the script instead of our intuition. This limits point 2 of grace and humility, which is forgiveness, as we're learning as the sorcerer's apprentice, when it is time to put on the magician's hat and influence, and when it's time to take a step back and let the wise people lead. Point 9 is the law of wisdom. We're only able to act and to decide per our level of wisdom. And we are led to feel curious, adventurous, and even restless, to push us to respond to our interesting world and keep exploring. This is under the realm of the crown chakra, or our mental data processing center. The crown is full of sensory delights and sights, sounds, and messages 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in a quarter. For these reasons, it shows up with the Hermit card. It's vitally important to disconnect from the allure of other people's approval or advice, to seek for your own counsel and will. It's becoming extremely important to also unplug from the mass marketing, advertising mindset, and consumerism. It's important during this time of extreme exposure to reconsider what has really been passed off as an education and just who wrote those books that we read anyways. We're asked to read in between the lines to understand the patterns and overcome the lessons. This limits point 3 of surrender. We are only ever as smart as we have the knowledge, and we have only a tiny portion of the required knowledge, which is leading us to explore and learn. So when we're trying to make our points, quoting a bunch of facts and figures will rarely be able to change the world, yet emotion and feeling space is always up to the challenge. This brings us around to point 10, the law of evolution. All things shift and change. I'm getting tired of that opening line yet. And expand. And we can expect to spend as much time in shadow as in the light, with each day set to break the horizon in due time. This position is associated with the soul star chakra, or our connection to our higher self, and the soul family that, quote, loves us through any karma, the good, bad, and the ugly. The card is the Wheel of Fortune, cycles that repeat, flipping the script between lifetimes. Evolution brings a profound sense of transformational awareness. It limits point 4, action. Anything we learn must be applied into a change in action, while changing approach will evolve into a different outcome. The point 11 is the law of polarity. This universe is made up of yin and yang energy, always divinely completing itself and separating off to return transformed into greater light and dark, masculine, feminine, zeros and ones, pluses and minuses. Polarity helps us to be compassionate and empathetic, to see opportunity within the haves versus the have-nots, rather than creating judgment and separation between the two camps. It is represented by the stellar gateway and harnesses some very advanced thought processes about our purpose here. Polarity often does not make sense and leaves us questioning, why me? But why not me? And yet our struggle pushes us to accelerate our learning and spirals us into ever greater levels of awareness. Here we see the Justice card. Each of us has high spots and low spots that represent some more cosmic karmic learning and initiation portals to be traversed. Here we're learning just exactly how to move and to dance with the rhythm of the universe in cosmic completion versus competition. The 12th point is the law of purpose at the top of the wheel. Here we have, often people will search for a greater purpose in life, while others will wait on one to appear or to be offered to them. This is the universal gateway where we open up in service to the universe. This is the tripping point of belief in our power and our true capacity to affect changes in our life, in our communities, in the world, and onto the multiverse. This separates out the more extreme layers of consciousness awareness. On the one side, leaning into trusting the journey, feeling blessed, joyful, and courageous, waiting for the divine to inspire reconnection with others and with love, light, and life itself. And on the other side, becoming lost in fear, grief, suffering, shut down from acknowledging they had a choice. The double option is shown in the Hanged Man card of the tarot, waiting for the spark of the divine to inspire new action. Purpose is limited by free will. And I got the lyric, don't stop believing. It's always about appreciating the journey and not about arriving at a destination point. And so if we get distracted by how far we have left to go or how far we've come before any acknowledgement, then we start to lose the plot and we stand beside ourselves in anxiety and fear and grief about change and shifting. But if we can pull back from dissecting the little trees in the forest and take in the entire forest, then we can see that the little things going on right now that seem so enormous in 10 and 50 years are going to be little blots on the map. And so if you become confused by the microcosm, panning out to the macrocosm can help with perspective here. And the 13th point is in the center and represents the law of love. Love is at the center, and it's the reason why we're all here in the first place, with these intense feelings and responses to all this chaotic, disordered seeming circumstances. And we are busy here reordering the streams of consciousness into elaborate correspondence, dancing with it. This position is marked by the heart chakra as our assemblage point, our connection to the greater whole, and by the cosmic and the earth gateway as the elixir of life itself. Hope, Joy and compassion expand the sense of love and light. And it creates the holy grail, or the manna that helps to sustain us through the desert times or through the underside of the wheel of fortune here. It is the nectar of the gods. Expressed as 0 point field, it is pure unity consciousness. And it is also representing the birth and the death portal. As the center, it can be limited by any of the surrounding factors or unleashed by them. The heart chakra is a rallying point where when we feel the confusion, as we return to the heart chakra, the heart is our interconnection point to understanding and greater cooperation. So, as I mentioned, each of these triangles has its own support within its triangular formation itself. But I'm out of time today. Each of these topics could be broken down and talked about the applications of each level. But I think that this is a great introductory speech about different points and how they connect and interact with each other. So that is how you can learn to navigate the language of the universe and overcome the patterns that have been keeping you still in this time. And when you contemplate the laws and discern the patterns, you can more easily shift your approaches and gain new outcomes. So here's to healthier inner changes in 2026. Thank you very much. And I'll just tell you as a PS, I do have this C-tuned chakra thing. It was something I was inspired by Sherry to get. When we did our sound bath, and you can take this and you can place it holding by the tip here, right, towards the heart, and you can recalibrate through the vibrational essence of the true C tone. So if you want to play around with this, we'll get that in just a little bit after service.
Thank you, Deana.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for that introductory trip around this wheel of the Hermetic laws and the sacred keys.